Hey y'all, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood, and it's a time for another Did You Know? Did you know there was a setting in your laser cut settings that could save you a ton of time when cutting out similar shapes? Let's jump in here to Lightburn and take a look. So if we go in here, grab my art library, we're going to open up one of my earring cards, and it's time for me to cut out a bunch of these. Now, I make my own earring cards instead of buying them at Michael's. You can buy those at Michael's. $6 for a pack of 75. But then if you want to personalize them, you got to either handwrite them or lay them out and engrave them. Those are going to cost you 8 cents a piece. You can buy cardstock for $1 a sheet or less in a 12 by 12 sheet and uh, make your own with your own name and engraving. In fact, we zoom in here. Uh, so now I've got it personalized with my logo. And this is going to cost me around 10 cents a piece. It's going to cost me a little more doing them this way, but it's going to save me a lot of time when it comes to personalize them, and it adds value to my product. But let's look at how you're going to save time on cutting out shapes with similar sides, shared sides, or could be the duplicate. All right, so I'm going to cut these out of a 12 by 12 cardstock. So I need to make me a square, 12 by 12, and I'm going to put her on a toolpath, set my dimensions. Did that go to the toolpath? I guess it did. All right, 12 by 12. Now I need to select my card, and I'm going to take her right up to the corner completely. Now, when cutting out your own cardstock, I don't like using the factory edges of the paper because even if it is perfectly square, you're going to have a laser cut on two sides and factory cut on two sides of the corners and one on the other side. So I like to take my design and just come pick either direction off of the corner, so I'll have uniform cuts. Now we've already talked about using the array tool, so if you haven't seen that video, now's after watching this, find that, go check it out. So we're going to set up our array, and we need to make sure first that there are zero values, no value at all in your X spacing and your Y spacing. Because if you have anything in there, it's not going to work. So make sure you're 0, 0. And set up your columns. And we'll get 3 in a 12 by 12. Same thing in my rows. All right, so I'm going to get 9 pieces out of that design. Now let's look at my cut layers and make sure I'm set right. Yep. So the cut, this is cardstock, so it doesn't take much. We're 20 millimeters a second and 25% power, and engraving 150 millimeters a second and 50% power. And to do those 9 pieces, that's showing 17 and a half minutes. All right. Now, if you look with this array, since I did 0 and 0, this middle card top row is butted right up against that one. This one's butted up against that one. This one's sandwiched between 4. So we're sharing cut lines. Well, this inner card, there's really not even a reason to have to cut it out, because once you cut out all the cards around it, well, what do you got left? That inner card. So if you go to your laser optimization settings, down here at the bottom, you've got a choice, remove overlapping lines. Select it. Okay. Now we were at 17 and a half minutes. Now it's 16 and a half minutes. So that shaved off a minute of that one piece of cardstock. Now, a minute may not be that big of a deal, but you got to remember, here we're working with 80-pound cardstock, and I'm only got a single pass, and we're moving at 20 millimeters a second. But let's go into our settings and pretend we're working with a piece of 4 millimeter birch or something that's going to require a speed of probably 3 millimeters a second at 100% power, and it's going to need 3 passes minimum. Okay, let's turn the optimization back off so we can see what it would be if you're not using it. Now, that cut, make sure we still, yep, 3 millimeters a second and 3 passes. That's going to take an hour and 13 minutes. Now, let's see what it'd be with the optimization. Optimization settings, remove overlapping lines. 55 minutes. 56 minutes, rounded off. $56 minutes versus an hour and 13, hour 14, 15 minutes. And if you had had a project that you needed to cut out multiples of these, you're going to do 10 of these in one day. Well, 15 minutes, 10 times, you just saved 150 minutes. You just saved 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So this is something that could save you a ton of time. Remove overlapping lines when you're arrayed and you've got them right up against each other. So there are some parameters you got to make sure your settings are correct, but done properly, huge time saver. Remove overlapping lines. So this has been Steve, Hobo with Wood, with another Did You Know? Do me a favor, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, reach over there and hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell for notifications so you can see more Did You Know? And I thank you for those who have already subscribed, and we'll see you in the next video. This has been Steve. Adios.